Welcome back to another Throwback Thursday episode. My name is Sal and I'm here with my friend Touly. Say hi, Touly.
Hello, everyone.
And just to let you know, there's going to be spoilers up ahead, so you've been warned. And for this Throwback Thursday, we're going to review White Man Can't Jump. White Man Can't Jump is about a black and white basketball hustlers who join forces to double their chances of winning money on the streets and courts in basketball tournaments. This movie came out in 1992, if I'm correct. It's kind of, getting up in its age, but we wanted to include it as a Throwback Thursday because recently we just concluded the NBA Finals. And with that, I want to say congratulations to the Warriors. I'm from LA, and Touly knows that. And the only reason that I'm cheering for Golden State was because one key element. I'm not really a fan of LeBron. So, if anybody else was playing LeBron, I would have been cheering for the other team. So, with that said, congratulations on your win. You guys deserved it.
And don't forget, Woody Harrelson was also in the last Star Wars movie too, Han Solo.
Oh, yeah, and that's also the other reason. Woody Harrelson was the mentor of Han Solo, so yeah. See, it all fits in if you keep tabs on our shows. We review everything and everything links together. So let's get started. This movie, I've seen it before and I have some reasons I like it and some reasons I don't like it. So I'm going to start off with you, Touly. What'd you think of this movie?
I liked it. It's a film that if I just want some cheap laughs or whatever, I would resort to watching this. I did like it growing up watching it, but surprisingly, the more I watched it, the more I thought that this film was like less about basketball. It was more about the lead guy, Billy Hoyle, who Woody Harrelson plays. And it's more about his struggle with himself and how he approaches life. And basketball is just his means of living. But like I said, the more I watched this, it felt less about basketball. I was more interested in the drama and how his character developed. Yeah, there are some stuff that didn't quite sit well with me, particularly when it comes to like the basketball play, because I do love watching basketball too, and some of the stuff that the players here they do on the court, it would never be effective on like an NBA level. And of course, you always hear this comparison of street ballers to professional NBA players, and I kind of got a sense, of this too, the more I appreciated how basketball is played at a professional level. But even, like I said, you discard the basketball aspects of this game. To me, it just really boiled down to the character that Woody Harrelson played and how you kind of see how stubborn he is and how he tries to overcome this but keeps failing, not until he realizes this at the end.
Yeah, basketball is one of the themes, but not the main focus. The main focus is on the characters, especially Wesley Snipes' Sydney and his wife Rhonda. It's a family, versus Woody Harrelson, Billy, and Gloria, who are not married. They're just a couple, but they're always, on the run because they owe people money. This whole concept of them like living, hustling and stuff like that. It's not only based on their characters and their personalities, but also it has to do something about basketball culture and everything. You're always on the court, and what's better than just being a bystander and just say, hey, I got $5 on that guy. I bet you, he's going to win it or something. It's like this whole thing, but then you also see this aspect of like, oh yeah, there's some people who do hustle. It's not really like meant to glorify them, but it's just meant to say like, yeah, there's some people out there who have good skills and they kind of hide them. It's like the same thing as pool sharks, like they'll lure you in and then, get your money. But the whole concept is, like you said, it's about Woody Harrelson and his character. He's so easily triggered off court, but on court, he's so zen, and they use that word, like he's in the zone, in the court. He gets, called white boy, cracker, this and that. Nothing fazes him, but just outside the court, tell him like, oh, you can't dunk. He goes off and says, how much you want to bet? Even though we do see that he might not be able to dunk, he still tries to basically act like he could do it, and he even like makes excuses like it's a regulation and this and that. And the whole thing is like his attitude, like you tell him he can't do something off court. He's very protective of Gloria. If you talk about Gloria, he'll kick your ass on the spot, or try to kick your ass. The whole thing is, I guess he's an insecure character about himself off court, but on court he's a different person, and that's how I saw it. How did you see his character?
Yeah, like he definitely showed a lot more confidence on the court. It's a little ironic here too, the relationship that he developed with Sydney here, Wesley Snipes' character, I sort of felt, I'm probably gonna sound politically incorrect here, but it's the only way I can kind of describe it. I felt like the character Billy that Woody Harrelson was playing, I felt like, well, he kind of wanted to represent himself in the light of being a black person, like him wanting to dunk or showcase that he can dunk, that he could play ball, that he could, trash talk too while on the court. Versus Wesley Snipes' character, who's trying to actually, outside of the court area, he's trying to provide for his family. He's like a contractor, subject for like construction or whatever, and he's trying to, move his family to like a better neighborhood. He's actually trying to be like a good husband, a good father. But yeah, very like contrasting personalities and ambition here. Despite Wesley Snipes' character being kind of crude to Woody Harrelson's character, because he did like double cross him later in the movie. Like, to me, it kind of felt like he was holding back too at times. Like, he was trying to hold Billy back by providing some sense of reasoning, saying, you know what, you don't really need to prove that you can dunk to me or not. Like, I don't really care, even though he did bring it up. But Billy, being as stubborn as he is, he just wanted to prove that he could. And again, it kind of boils back to maybe he was trying to portray that he was black in a sense.
Yeah.
Because it's weird that he uses that line over and over with Sydney. The one where he says, a white man wants to win first and look good second, whereas a black man wants to look good first and win second. Of course, Wesley Snipes' character, Sydney, he thinks this is a load of BS because it seems like an excuse for Billy to always come up with to justify why things don't go the way he plans it to go. I have to give it up to Sydney for restraining himself from like retaliating, because I would totally take offense to that too. Regardless if there is some truth to it or not, that doesn't matter. Here's is somebody who you can consider like maybe your friend or your brother at this point, because they've been hustling courts here and there and having gone through a lot with each other too. And for you to keep coming back to this theme, it would totally rub me the wrong way too. Definitely because of Sydney's ambition outside of the court. He's the more sane one. He's the one who's always telling Billy, you don't need to do this, you shouldn't do this. Listen to Gloria, your girlfriend.
Yeah.
So Sydney, he even like alludes to this by saying, so when they're listening to Jimi Hendrix, Sydney is saying to Billy that you listen, but you can't hear him. He's already kind of trying to teach Billy, some life lessons here, but this goes over Billy's head, and he's always this stubborn person who is very bad with money.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just very contrasting personalities. How they come to be like this is on the court. It's because of how they treat life outside of the court. I wish Billy would have been this much more serious outside of the court as he was on the court. But again, it was a lesson that he had to learn, and at least he came to realize this towards the end of the film.
Yeah, I mean, the same thing, I'm going to touch upon it. I see that Billy, he wanted to be black on the court, while Sydney wanted to be white off the court. And we see this in the scene that he's dressed in a suit and he ends up going to this, like, I guess, burger joint. And he meets with a client. He's well dressed and he speaks politely. He's like, yeah, we can do this for you. What the wife want, and they're talking business. And then Billy on the court, he wants to, trash talk, and be like what people say, like he's a basketball player, he's dissing other characters, but he wants to fit in the image of the black basketball player. To him, is like, no. He's like, I'm going to prove myself to you no matter what. And like back to the same thing. He's not good managing money. Gloria basically tells him all the time, like, you lost the money again, Billy? Again? It's like a time after time after time. So we don't know how long this has been happening, but obviously it's been happening quite a bit. The other thing that I want to touch upon this is that when I first watched it, I lived in Venice, and we at the beginning of the shot, you see Billy driving his car to Venice Beach. You also see this guy playing the guitar on rollerblades, and this guy is iconic. You even see him, there's a mural where Billy's passing by and he's drawn on the mural. This guy is the famous guy from Venice Beach. I think last time I went there, a few years ago, he was still there. Yeah, he's an iconic character in Venice Beach, South Central and everything. Okay, so now let's go talk about Gloria. Gloria is the girlfriend who's at the beginning, when I saw her studying to be on Jeopardy, and I'm like, oh my god, this is another crazy person who thinks they're gonna end up on Jeopardy. Okay, never gonna happen. And I'm like, did she even call to register to be on Jeopardy? Like, I was thinking, like, she just thinks Jeopardy's gonna call her out of nowhere. And I'm like, oh my God, oh my God. But then it kind of does play into what I believe, because Billy has to call in a favor to get her on the show. But then we do realize that she is smart and she starts winning Jeopardy, you know? And then my only question is, like, what happens after she loses Billy? Like, does she keep winning on Jeopardy? We don't see this. We don't see her character just kind of like fades away in the movie. And it basically, I understand the story is about Billy and Sydney. So Gloria is a side character, but mostly it's like you want to know what the side characters are going to be because you're attached to the main character. So in that sense, I wanted to see if Gloria does, you know, or how she does in Jeopardy, you know.
One thing that I did find amusing about Gloria's character is when it was her response to the first answer on Jeopardy. It was related to basketball, and her response was, "Who was Babe Ruth?"
Yes.
And for somebody who has been studying to try to get on Jeopardy, she couldn't name somebody who was like a basketball player. She named an athlete who was from a different sport, and I just found that very amusing. Like, really, Babe Ruth? And I know Billy says to Sydney, you know, she's not very good with sports, but still, I mean, you've been studying all this time, and you called out Babe Ruth in retrospect to a basketball question. Like, that to me just didn't make sense.
No, I think it was just the whole point about the movie being centered all around basketball, and then her character, who's a ditzy character, referencing like another sport. You know, it's like, I thought it was just a sense of humor in the movie. The same way, like in the beginning of the movie, when Sydney is betting against Billy with his friend, I think his character's name is Junior. He's like, no, man. He's like, let me some money. He's like, no. He's like, come on. He's like, okay. He's like, we better be going to scissors if you win. You know, it's like the whole thing is like, if we win, we're going to scissors. It's like, wait. So that's like now it's funny because I guess I've only know like one scissor that's open, but back then scissor was everywhere. It's like that was the high end place you would go. And I was like, oh man, that's like so long ago. It just was hilarious to me. Well, with that, let's give our final grade about this movie. Touly, what grade do you give this movie?
Yeah, so I would give it a good 7 to 7.5 out of 10. I mean, stuff that didn't quite hit the mark. It wasn't too big of a deal. I mean, it is a movie in which I don't treat it as seriously because there is some comedy side to it. The only serious stuff is, again, when it comes to stuff off the court and seeing how these characters develop personally. But overall, yeah, I think it's a decent movie. I wouldn't say like it's great, but it's definitely not bad either. It is definitely like it's solid for what it was trying to convey in its message.
Okay, well, I guess I'm going to have to go a little to the other side. I'm going to basically say that the movie, I mean, it did hold up itself to, you know, recent time, to aging. But the whole thing about everything mixed in there, I'm going to give it a 5.5 to 6 out of 10. Especially the way, I mean, because at the ending, like, all he did was, like, he did dunk. And I was like, okay, so we don't see the aftermath. We don't see, you know, Sydney moving out of the apartments. We don't see, I mean, to me, it just seems like it ended abruptly. I really wanted to see a little more closure. But I guess back in the days, there was no closure in the movies. Movies just ended there. But, I mean, to me, it just seems like incomplete. To me, it seems like they kind of left it that way. Maybe they were planning to make a second movie, you know. I mean, they did just play one tournament. They could probably go to other tournaments. Yeah, so that was my grade.
Hey, Sal. So, yeah, despite your grade there, like, have you heard, like, I've read here and there that there's going to be a reboot of this film, and it's actually going to star Blake Griffin as the lead character.
No, that's news to me. I was not aware of that. Well, I mean, let's see. I mean, if it does happen, I mean, I wouldn't be opposed to it being remade. Let's see if it's remade, if it stays the original concept or it might go a little further. So, I don't know. I don't know how to feel about that news.
So if they do reboot it and they introduce the whole girlfriend wanted to be on Jeopardy, would you still like her to be on Jeopardy or go on a different show? And what show would it be?
Oh my God! Well, if it was new shows, I don't know what I don't think I want it to be a new show because they're so weird shows nowadays, like Beach Shazam or something like that. I'm like, no, I don't think I want to say if they keep Jeopardy, it would be an homage to the original. So I would say just leave it.
Yeah,
Jeopardy. I want to say that.
I see. But as long as they mention Sizzler, right?
Oh yeah, yeah. Scissor has to be mentioned there. That's an iconic line. So that does it for our review of White Man Can't Jump. Join us next time when we review Pulp Fiction. Remember, social media is in the description, and hit us up if you have any questions. And remember, keep watching movies.